Today we're talking about a mode or a side of the self where, when you're on the receiving end, you might find yourself kind of really intrigued and wanting more, maybe feeling really kind of charmed by the side of this particular individual, or you might find yourself feeling a little bit unclear and confused about why this person's telling you all of these things. And you might actually feel inadequate, uncomfortable, and finding that you're wanting to pull away. My name is Rita Union. I'm a clinical psychologist and advanced schema therapist supervisor trainer, and welcome to 7 Minute Schemas.
Yes, hi, I'm Ruth Holt, and we're continuing our series on modes, helping therapists to fine-tune their skills and perhaps also talking to clients who may be interested in learning about this mode. So the self-aggrandizer mode is one of the overcompensation modes. So remember, there's three kinds of modes. There's the flight avoiding modes, there's a sort of surrendery mode, and then there's a fight response, a kind of an attack or an acting opposite mode. And self-aggrandizer is one of those. It's a mode where when you flip into it, you act and feel superior, special, powerful. Maybe you're looking down on other people. Sometimes people in a self-aggrandizer mode are very much top dog, and therefore they need a bottom dog. You can kind of be a bit of a show off or self-important or listing all your achievements. And, for some people, it can be not so much achievements and sort of status, but it could be maybe I'm the biggest sufferer. I'm the person who looks after everyone in a way that no one else ever can. And so I'm kind of getting my status from my helping.
I guess one of the things that you're describing, whether it is kind of more that I'm the biggest sufferer, the biggest victim, or I'm really special, look at the flashy car I've got, or do you realize who I know, is a common denominator of recognition, needing to be seen, for the suffering or achievements. And so one of the things, I guess, is seeing the different ways in which the individual is trying to be seen, because underneath we have a vulnerability around not mattering, not being significant. And the only way that I was significant or seen or recognized was when I had these big, grand things. So self-worth was conditional.
Yeah, so you might have had somebody who grew up in perhaps a house where there was a lot of criticism. There was maybe a lot of attention focused on achieving or having status, or love was conditional. You'd get that kind of approval and love if you earned it somehow. And I think for some people, they really worked out, what, maybe in life I can't really ever be loved, but I can definitely be the best. Or maybe I'm not going to be, at my core, I'm not going to feel okay, but I could at least impress people. So you kind of do these trade-offs, you get what you can when you can, and you sort of, assert that in the room, hoping that other people will give you that love and attention and care if you're the best or the superior person.
Or the most powerful,
Mm.
and that's that kind of top dog, bottom dog thing that you were describing before. So it may be dominating people in order to feel powerful and important and special, and intimidate others, essentially.
Mm.
So I guess, maybe a couple of questions that you might want to ask yourself, if this is a side of you that you recognize in yourself, is where do you find that this part of you tends to play out? Is it at work? Is it in your relationships? Is it in friendships? Where do you see it playing out? How does it get in the way? What does it cost you? And what did you actually need in that moment where you found yourself flipping into that part of yourself? What type of vulnerability perhaps was activated? And these are the types of questions I'd be asking, my clients around when these parts of the self are triggered and for what reason. And that really helps us be able to kind of overcome that or start to perhaps cope in those situations in healthier ways. Because essentially, Ruth, this is a coping mode. This is a side of the person that they learned was the best way to cope. And even though it's got that feeling on the receiving end, it had an adaptive value.
Yeah, that's such an important question, isn't it? We want to be asking, where did you learn that you had to be like this to get the needs met? What was the environment like, and what were those lessons? And I think one thing that, often For some people, it could be a mode that they can hold on to really tightly because it's kind of very known. And it's like, I know how to do this. I know how to be like this with people. And so it feels safe. One of the challenges is, though, starting to look at what it really is costing, as you asked before, right? So when you are a performer on a stage, and that's how you can be in those situations when you're in a self-aggrandizer, the other people end up being an audience, right? And so one of the costs of a self-aggrandizer mode is that you don't actually end up with relationship, you end up with an audience. And that's really lonely. It's hard to feel like people really know the real you behind the performer. Or sometimes a cost is that people get tired of being an audience and they leave. And then the loneliness is made worse. Or you sometimes have people who go on the attack and they say, I'm going to put you down a peg or two. And that actually makes you feel more and more defective.
And sometimes what can happen too, Ruth, is if there isn't an audience and you do connect with that loneliness, then typically what happens is we flip into another part, another way of trying to get away from that loneliness. So if you don't have the overcompensation, maybe we flip into avoidance, some of the other coping modes that we've talked about, which is really typical for people that have this particular type of overcompensatory coping mode.
So this is one that can need therapeutic support to work on, and we encourage you, if this is something you're really struggling with shifting, if this is a mode for you, schema therapy can be very helpful in working with that. And if you're a therapist, we want to encourage you to stay in your sturdy, healthy adult, bringing that empathy and care to that vulnerable side, but also learning how to do some of that confronting with the mode that becomes a bit unhelpful at times. And we help you with that in our training. So for more information, look at the link at the end of the video.